Hi all, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to share another tragic story with you coming out of Texas. Guys, I don't know what the hell's going on in Texas right now, but if you live there, lock your doors. That's all I can tell you. Police in Irving, Texas say they received a 911 call from a female on October 20th of 2020 who seemed to be trying to send them a cryptic message. The operator claimed not to understand what the woman was trying to say, but said she sounded like she was talking to her brother, as if she didn't want someone to know she was talking to police, and she mentioned calling 911, so they dispatched officers to the home where the call originated from. The officers who arrived on the scene said that when they knocked on the door, they heard a male voice yelling at them, demanding a hostage negotiator. Then, shortly after, they heard a single gunshot. When police couldn't get the man to respond to them again, SWAT was called in, and an explosive was used on the front door so they could gain entry into the home. Once inside, police say they found 45-year-old James Oliveras dead from a single gunshot wound, his 45-year-old wife Brandy Oliveras, and 18-year-old stepdaughter Cecilia Williams, also dead from gunshot wounds, and the two family dogs as well. Police say one of the women tried to call for help before he murdered them and took his own life. Police say the investigation into this murder-suicide is ongoing, and at this point, they have no motive for the shooting. But they say they did discover a message on James' Facebook page from around the time of the shooting. They simply read, "I'm sorry." Police say James and Brandy married in 2010 and had just moved to Irving in 2018. An officer on the case spoke to the media, encouraging people who are involved in potentially violent relationships to reach out for help. He said, "It becomes very violent very quickly. That's why if someone's involved in a relationship that is violent, domestic violence, whether it's verbal or it's already progressed to physical violence, you need to get assistance. You need to try to talk to someone." Now, many of the stories I cover on my channel have to do with murders and family annihilations that are the end result of domestic violence situations, and it seems like we're hearing about them more and more every day. It's quite terrifying when I think of all the stories I've read recently that involve it. I don't know if it's that there are more cases happening now, or if it's that we hear about everything online, but it's disturbing. And with each and every story I cover, I wonder where the next one is going to come from and who it's going to involve, because there's always another one coming right around the corner. I always think that if we actually knew how many people are living in unhappy homes and violent relationships, our minds would be blown. And what really gets me is when the innocent children are dragged into it, are abused as a result, and oftentimes lose their lives. It's heartbreaking. I will never fully understand why people stay in unhappy, unhealthy relationships. And please understand, I don't mean situations where the person being abused may not necessarily have a way out or when they fear for their lives, but I mean in general. We've seen so many cases where murders occurred, but rather than walking away and dealing with their issues, people chose to eliminate their problems by eliminating their spouses and families, which didn't eliminate their problems at all and just compounded them by exchanging their freedom and potential happiness for a prison sentence, which leaves the rest of us scratching our heads, wondering how the hell that worked out better for them than just getting a divorce and going on with life. We know some cases involved mental illness, they have to, but the rest? How is choosing to stay in a relationship that makes you miserable to the point where you want to abuse your partner any way to live? I've always wondered that. And I get that people may not want to break up a marriage or they want to stay together for the kids, yada, yada, yada. So they choose misery over happiness because it's what? The right thing to do? Is it? If things are bad and abuse is present, how is it the right thing to do? And staying together for the kids? I can tell you firsthand, it's hell on the kids. Unless the parents are saints or something and stay amicable the entire time. I grew up in a household where my parents stayed together for the kids, and you could cut the tension in that house with a knife. He was miserable, she was unhappy all the time, and who paid for it? Us kids. Wasn't it Dr. Phil who said that children would rather be from a broken home than from a home that's broken? Like him or not, that's the damn truth. And I get that divorce can be unpleasant. I'm divorced myself. It was no picnic, trust me. But the marriage wasn't working, and I wasn't going to raise my children in an environment like I was raised in. They deserved better than that. So, I got the hell out. And he made me pay for it. No child support for years. Constant court battles, you name it. But I've never regretted my decision to leave. Not for a second. Because then my children were raised in an environment of love and not anger and hatred. I remember when I was a kid wishing my parents would divorce, so everybody wasn't walking around on eggshells all the time. And I had friends whose parents were so miserable together, they would say mean things to each other and fight in front of everyone, even at birthday parties and other family events. Why? Why stay together when you're not happy? There are millions of people in this world, and yet over and over we see people choose to stay in unhappy relationships. Then what happens? They start to escalate into verbal abuse, then, God forbid, physical abuse and murder. It makes no damn sense. It makes no damn sense why anyone would allow themselves to sink so far into unhappiness in a relationship that they feel like murdering their partner is the only way out. I don't even know how you'd let it get that far. I understand that there are many psychological aspects to it all, but before all of that even comes into play, what about just general happiness? When did being happy stop mattering? Isn't that the whole point of having a relationship? To be happy? Or don't we value happiness anymore? I wonder how we get to the point where we decide that happiness isn't important and we just need to tolerate everything until we hate it, want to hurt it, or even kill it. I don't know where we're going wrong as people, but we're not doing something right. There are way, way too many victims of domestic violence when it doesn't need to be. Walk away. Start over. Be happy. Live your life. Get a divorce. Figure it out. Don't tolerate abuse, verbal or physical. Value yourself. Value your happiness. Be an example for your children. Show them that they don't have to choose a life of unhappiness and misery. Teach them that there are options, and violence is never the answer. Respect yourself, and teach them to respect themselves. Don't tolerate bullshit from anyone. You deserve better than that. If you're unhappy, leave. Give everyone else the chance to be happy. We need to stop making our children pay for our mistakes. They didn't ask to be brought into this world. We brought them here, into our lives, and into our bullshit. If you're in a bad relationship, get help before it's too late. Stop acting like it's going to go away. It's not. Every day we wake up and don't choose happiness for ourselves, we sentence our children to the same. And for what? Because we don't want to be alone. We're scared. We're unsure of our futures, etc. So we stay in situations that we know, that we're used to, that make us miserable. Then we want to take it out on everybody else. It needs to stop. People are dying. We may be unsure of our futures if we choose to leave and start fresh, but it's better than being sure of a future that's only going to be pure hell, whether you're the abuser or the abused. Abusers don't abuse because they're happy, any more than the abused tolerate it because they are. I guarantee you, if we knew how many people put on fake faces and act like all is well when they're really sad and miserable inside, it would be so very depressing. Why live like that? You deserve better. If you need help getting out of an abusive relationship, Ask for help. Give yourself a chance at happiness. You're not on this earth to abuse or be abused. You're here to love and be loved. You deserve that, not a life of misery. You're meant for so much more. If you feel you're being abused or you don't feel safe in your relationship, talk to someone and get help getting out. Because as much as you may want to see if things will get better, you don't want to die finding out that they won't. I hope and pray that none of you needed to hear that rant of mine and that you're all out there getting loved to pieces. But if you aren't, please love yourself enough to give yourself a better life. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next video.